Hello everybody, Doc Eon here, welcoming you to Monday the 21st of, May 2018, and a lazy week of painting. Well, it's not so much that I've been lazy. Maybe you can tell from my voice I've been a little bit sick the past week. I don't often get sick, but this time I did. And it's because last weekend I was at a dance festival, and when I'm in an environment where there's a lot of new people and there's a lot of stress and very little sleep, my immune system is weakened and I can sometimes get infected by bugs. And yeah, so I've just been very low energy the past week, and also I have a lot of papers to grade. The end of the semester is coming up. And this is the reason you're looking at an empty chair. I'm not going to do Clint Eastwood here, but this is the throne sort of for one of the cultists, and I consider this to be complete. Also, I realized an extra base. I stamped an extra one base more than I needed, so I painted that up. And this is the sum total of what I've done this past week. Well, not really, but the only thing that's been completed, and you'll see why in a moment. Let's move on to the table right away. So the reason for my low completion rate is, apart from the sickness and all that, is my inability to stay on target. I've been hopscotching around between different projects. I've been painting a little bit here, a little bit there. So I've been started working on the fur for these cat people. Not gone very far there. For the cultists, I've done the flagstones and the tentacles, and nothing more, essentially. For these guys, these remaining Reaper miniatures that are on my table right now, I've done the hair and the metallics somewhat finished, not completely. And I was planning to start on the faces, but didn't get around to it. And these guys in the back, I've done some more metallic work. They're much shinier now. Still need shading and highlighting. But yeah, so a little bit here, a little bit there. One project though is a bit further along than the others, and I'll show that to you in just a moment.
So the Kraken is pretty close to completion. You can see that I've painted more of the body and attached it to the base. And, you know, I fiddled around with it quite a long time, but eventually you have to call it quits and say is enough, and it's good enough. I mean, I could have made the transitions even more subtle, but oh well. I felt that it works well enough. What's left is applying the tentacles and painting them, and I've done a little work. Specifically, I've tried to match the green, because the scales here continue a little bit onto the tentacles. So I painted that. Otherwise, these are just primed. But, you know, finding the right combination of poses for the tentacles is, yeah, I'm going to have to, again, fiddle with that for some time before I'm happy with it. Once it's done, I have to glue them on and probably gap fill the gaps, and then prime some, and paint over some patches, and paint the whole tentacles. Yeah, more work than you think, perhaps. But anyway, the end is in sight, so good for me. So I haven't gone that far with the Treant and the Dryad yet. As you can see, I've cleaned them up. There wasn't much in the way of mold lines. I mean, how would you even notice a mold line on something this craggy and highly textured? I took away a little bit of flashing and as a cleaned off residue, and I just glued the Dryad to a base, 25mm base. I took the base portion of the Treant and glued it, in this case, to a 50mm round plastic base. You can see that it will fit on like that afterwards. Yeah, get the two arms. We have a little piece of shrubbery that will be sticking out from behind here. And then of course we have the face and the front. Let's see, goes on like this. You can see a big nose there. A little loose still, but it was a lot worse before. I identified the problem as being that these two pieces of shrubbery were colliding, so I filed it down here. You might notice. I think I'm gonna score it a little bit and to hide that. And yeah. So the only real issue here is that once this goes together, it's going to be almost hopeless to get a brush in here in between. So do I want to paint it before assembly? No, I don't think so, because again, it's going to be so dark in there, nobody's going to see anything anyway. So what I believe I will do is I will probably just brush prime these portions, the inside here and the inside portions here, in something like black, just basic black. And then I'll glue everything together, and then I'll spray prime. And then I'll try to maybe get some dark green paint in there to make it look like leaves. But if not, never mind, the black will suffice. Oh, and like the hollow of the mouth here, I gotta pre-prime that. Put some black in there before I attach it, because yeah, afterwards it's gonna be hopeless. Yeah, but you know, this guy might move ahead in the queue simply because he looks kind of fun to paint. This is the kind of model where it's really easy to quickly get a result that still looks dramatic, simply because of the amount of texture, which means simple techniques like dry brushing and washing are going to produce dramatic results. And that's always fun. So, I'm going to hold off on showing you new projects until after the break. Let's see what that says.
And mail call. I got a box in the mail this week, and it's more bones, more Reaper bones. I didn't buy them from Reaper this time. This is a package from a UK retailer named S&M Stuff. Very prompt service, very quick, very good, very reliable. Can't recommend them enough. I wish they would, you know, instate the wish list system on their website, but apart from that, no problems at all. The reason I'm buying from them is, well, first off, I wanted some stuff that wasn't miniatures, and secondly, buying direct from the US has gotten really tricky lately. You see, the Swedish government wants to crack down on private imports, and they've tasked the customs service with being really hard and checking every single package. Now, everybody knows this is actually mostly aimed at China, because that's where the flood of cheap stuff is coming from. But they can't say that. They can't single out a country like that, of course, so they have to apply it equally to everybody, and that means every single package from the US gets checked, and it gets tagged with import duties of which amounts to Swedish sales tax plus handling fee. The handling fee is actually not the customs service adding, it's Post Nord, our local postal service, which is adding that. With unclear legal grounds, I might add. Oh well. Anyway, this makes it so buying direct from Reaper doesn't really save me any money anymore, even with the free shipping. It might even be more expensive, and it certainly takes longer time than buying from somewhere in Europe. So yeah, I'm gonna have to move away from direct purchasing in the future, I think. Anyway, what's in the package? What's in the box? What's in the box? Well, I got some more primer. This is Vallejo German Panzer Gray, which is a really, really deep gray. And that's because I've come to the conclusion I don't really need black primer. Nothing needs to be primed black. Well, I just mentioned an exception, but anyway. Nothing really needs to be that dark. If it needs to be that dark, I can add some black paint after the priming. So, yeah, I'm just going to use this from now on. We've got some CA glue, some Zap-A-Gap. The rest of it is bones. Whoops. What it is I'm not going to show you all of it now because you'll see it all soon enough. It's just a bunch of some classic low-level monsters. Well, okay, the Oni are not that low-level. But the rest are just basic D&D monsters. We have some goblins. We have an ogre. We have another ogre. And the rest are going to be kobolds and orcs, I believe. Where's the Behir. Oh, yeah. Kobolds. These are kobolds. Hobgoblins. Hobgoblins. Orcs. More orcses. Even more orcses. What else did I buy? Oh yeah, another ogre. I suppose a fourth ogre. Yeah. So this collection is because I'm starting up a new D&D campaign for a new group of players, and it's starting at low level where I need a lot of things like kobolds and goblins and orcs, because that's the sort of thing you fight. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I recently, well, sometime this year, I think I painted some kobolds and goblins, but more, I need more. I need more of these low-level mooks to throw at the players. So this is also my next project. I'm going to forego the principle I've been trying to follow of only painting Reaper every other week, because the needs of the campaign supersede that. And it's going to be all Reaper all the time until I've finished all of these. Yeah. And I'm going to start prepping some of them even for next week. That's going to be the next project. Right. So that was a video. As usual, I hope it was interesting. Click like, subscribe, comment, share the video, and I will see you in a week. Until then, I'm Dr. Jan, signing off.